Yo, it's Monty with the facts. Welcome back to the pit. Degens IDP, where the grinders commit. Defensive dogs eat. Watch the numbers collide. While the rest chase points, we got the shutdown side. Degens IDP BLITZ. We break it down quick. From the sacks to the picks. Every tackle we pick. Matt Monty with the stats, bringing heat to the mix. If you want that edge, better tune into this. We blitzing through the tape like a corner off the edge. Knowledge stacked higher than the safety on the wedge. From the trenches to the zone, we controlling the tone. Offense gets the shine, but defense builds the throne. Degens IDP BLITZ.
What is up, everybody? It is the Degens IDP BLITZ. I'm Matt Monty. You just saw it. I got a theme song now. We are legit. I went live for the first time last week. This week I'm live, and I have a theme song. Who knows, Steve? Maybe they'll broadcast us on ESPN after this. We're going to kill this today, okay? My guest today is Steve Falco from the Front Office Pros. Steve, introduce yourself. How are you today, man?
Matt, I'm doing well. Always a pleasure to see you. You and I have been, I guess, we've known each other for a while now in the space, so always good to see your face and be able to talk with you. Always good to be able to talk some football, and crazy already almost week 12 here. Season's just flying by.
Yes, it is. And for those that don't know Steve was the first person that ever allowed me a live mic and live camera on any sort of format, and I'm forever indebted to you for that, Steve. So I'm very excited that I can finally, however many years later, repay the favor and have you on. Before we dive into
I can see we're paying it forward with you having been on, and look at you right now. So you're taking over. So that's great.
Hey, you know what? I'm just following in your footsteps, that lead you gave me. Well, we're going to start off with some YouTube comments. I got a couple of questions in here that I need your expertise on before we get into the injuries and all that. This one comes in from Summer is Great 64. Appreciate the video and discussion as always. I had a question on picking two for linebacker out of Zach Bond, Blake Cashman, Jamian Sherwood, Ernest Jones, or Carson Schweschinger. So I'll let you take the lead on this one, Steve. Pick two. Who do you like?
You know, I got to tell you, in my IDP league, I'm in a deeper league. So for someone to have all of these guys to begin with, to me, is like utter madness. I feel like if you get the right combination, like hats off, because I think that's very hard. At this point, I would say like I would play Carson Schweschinger for sure. I mean, I feel like IDP. It's kind of like baseball in the fact that if you get hot, you stick with the player that's on a hot streak. And so you got to play Schweschinger because I feel like he's been really hot. After that, I mean, the next hottest player would be Blake Cashman. So if you want to go that route, I probably did. I have Sherwood. I've been very disappointed in him. Ever since Quincy Williams has come back, who he wasn't supposed to start, but now he's playing more. Who knows what's going on there? So I don't know. I guess if you want to stay – with the hot player, I'd go Schweschinger and Cashman. If you want to go based more on the name, then I probably go maybe I lean more Bond. Maybe that's my thought.
All right, I'm kind of with you. I think you got to go Bond and Schweschinger. I understand what you mean by the hot hand, and Cashman's been insane right now. But I just think you know what you're getting with Bond, and maybe it's not been what it was last year because it kind of came out of nowhere and everybody was just so hot about it. But Bond has still been a very productive linebacker one for you. And then Schweschinger is right now the IDP Rookie of the Year, and I don't think it's even questionable right now. So I'm with you. Got to throw another one up here. This comes from Mike, a.k.a. the Dynasty DJ. Steve, your hair is big AF, and I love it. And he absolutely does, dude. That is one thing that I do love about you, dude. It is always – it's like that Pauly D look, brother, and it's always so good. You're putting me to shame up here, dude.
Hey, I'm very blessed that I have the hair that I do. So I was born with it. But I'm happy to have it.
Yes, sir. Hey, Jamie, thanks for stopping by. We got one more from Summer. Also, would you start Cody Simon, Servassier Dennis, Chop Robinson over Watt and Micah for my last two spots? Both of them are linebackers in this format. So you were saying stick with them as linebackers. That's an interesting thought. Why?
I just feel like we don't know enough, I guess, as far as the scoring goes. But this is where, in my opinion, you don't get cute. Like you've got elite players like that. I know you were pretty. I think that if I'm not mistaken, you are not very fond of Mr. Michael Parsons from what I think seen from you. So
Appreciate
that
that.
could be where you're coming from. But I want to get cute. I'd start Watt, and and Mike. I don't think I would start those other guys.
You are absolutely right, and I am 100% going to dive into that right now because I'm getting rid of Micah and I'm putting in Savasier Dennis because just as much as I dislike Micah, I love Dennis this season. I called him a league winner. That looks a little stupid now. I don't think he's necessarily taken over leagues, but he has been a quality linebacker that was arguable for – he was probably a waiver guy in 90% of leagues that are IDP, specifically redraft. And now he is not a waiver guy anymore, and next year he will be drafted. And I think you just got to have that stability. And I think Watt gives you that big play upside, and Dennis gives you that stability. So both of those players can be effective. If Dennis's floor is good enough for 10 to 12 points, and then you get that TJ Watt explosion, you have got yourself a dynamic linebacker room. But I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm just a hater of Parsons, and I'm not trying to be. He's probably a good person. Hopefully he'll do my podcast one day, right? But I guarantee you if he sees anything I write about him, I'm getting blocked, bro. All right. We're moving forward. We got to get into the show. I could talk to you all day about nonsense like this, but we're going to start with injuries. And this week, for the first time in what feels like 2 to 3 weeks, we actually had some significant injuries. There's only 2 of them that I'd like to talk to you about today, and that is Quay Walker for Green Bay, linebacker. He got a stinger. Stingers don't necessarily scare me that much, but he did leave the game and did not return. And then you have Seattle Seahawks linebacker Tyrese Knight left with a concussion. So minimal injuries. That's kind of the upside here. Quay Walker's the most notable here by far. What are you doing in response, Steve? Coach LaFleur called this injury day to day. We'll probably know a little bit more today or tomorrow. Should we rush to pick up Isaiah McDuffie in his place, or do you think he's going to play? What is your vibe on this?
I mean, if he's not rostered, definitely grab him just in case. And if he doesn't play, I would say you go ahead and put him in. I think, especially when it comes to an IDP, especially in the linebacker position, uh, usually when you have a starter like that go down and somebody replaces them, it's not to say that that player isn't as good, but it's just the fact that it's that scheme. I mean, you look at Tatum Bethune, which people that was not a household name. People didn't even know who he was. Heck, I don't even know who he was, right?
I didn't either.
So, and then he go and replaces Fred Warner, and look what he's been able to do. So to me, it's like with any position, I can't say that for defensive end, defensive tackle, corner, safety as much. Although I think if you're desperate, I think it always makes sense to play the replacement player. But for linebacker, for sure.
Yep. Linebackers are the defensive equivalent of running backs. Sometimes it's ugly back there. You want to have the guy that's right in the hot hand. You're going to have certain guys playing certain spots, but those injury away guys are key. You don't roster them because a lot of times IDP leagues aren't that deep. But in this case, I'm with you. You need to roster him minimally just in case. Even if Quay Walker plays, what is he going to be like? He's been a very elite linebacker. He's been one of the top 10 linebackers all year, even with Edrin Cooper, who was a top 10 linebacker in his own right, playing alongside him. So we know the scheme is conducive to have multiple linebackers produce high-quality weeks. So if he does miss the game, McDuffie is a immediate set-and-forget type of guy for me. So I'm with you there. Tyrese Knight, you got any comments on him? He's disappointed me this year. I don't think that there's anything that we need to really go into other than the fact that Drake Thomas now becomes a must-start if you already weren't starting him.
Drake Thomas has been great. I picked him up, and I was surprised how well he's done. I mean, Knight had a really good game against Arizona. I think he has good potential. Again, one of those things, if he doesn't play, I really like Drake Thomas. You almost got to hope he doesn't play so that if you have Drake Thomas, then it's a slam dunk.
Right, absolutely. I want to throw this up there again. Mike had another thing for your baseball comment earlier. Baseball and IDP, exactly. You got to ride the hot hand. You're streaming with 2 spots all day. So I'm with you there, Mike. It is very conducive. You kind of just got to play the series, right? It's not just a 1-week type of thing. You got to kind of see how it goes over and over. We're going to dive into the topic this week, and I'm about to nerd out, all right? The topic we're diving into is perfectly balanced. One of the greatest evil villain quotes of all time comes from Marvel's Thanos in the Avengers. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. And while we know that we rarely have the perfect player, I'm looking for the closest thing to those players. I need one player from each position group, Steve, defensive line, linebacker, and defensive back who you feel most closely matches that sentiment of perfectly balanced. And what I mean by that is, who is the perfect person to put in your lineup every week? And yeah, of course, you could always say the top guys, right? If you have Myles Garrett, one of those 5-sack weeks, of course you're going to win the week. I'm talking who are the players that you know are good complements to a complete team that can take you over the edge to make that perfect balance. We'll start with you at defensive line, Steve. Who do you got?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm gonna go with Brian Burns. I know it's an easy answer because he's probably number one in your edge position this year. But as far as our scoring goes, he has not been below 10 points, which is extremely impressive, especially when IDP is usually feast or famine. So, every year it's a little bit different when it comes to IDP. These stats aren't always sticky, but he has 13 sacks already on the year. He's had an incredible year. To me, as far as this year goes, as far as consistency, it's hard to beat him.
Absolutely. I'm with you there. And I kind of went with an easy one too on this one. I promise you, viewers, there are some uglier ones on my end a little bit later. I went with Max Crosby. He's not getting a lot of talk this year because the sack numbers haven't been there. But with most edge rushers, when the sack numbers are not there, neither is the point production. But Max Crosby, yet again, is showing us how versatile he is at this position. On the season, he's got 40 total tackles, 6 sacks, 6 defended passes, 2 forced fumbles. He's doing it all, even without the sacks. Yes, you're going to start Max Crosby every time, every league you've got him in. But just because the sacks are down does not mean that he is a bad play. He has had multiple weeks in double digits, in the high-end double digits. I'm talking 15 to 20 in some cases, depending on your league scoring. And it hasn't been because of the boom plays. He has a massive tackle upside, which is why he is the perfect balance. This season, he's playing more on that back half of the top 10, top 12 at the edge rushing position. But I would argue we're seeing some of the best edge rushing seasons from players that we have seen in the past. Players like Byron Young emerging. Players like you just said, Brian Burns, who I wasn't big on. You're seeing these guys, I mean, even the old stalwarts like the TJ Watts of the world, they're having good seasons. Alex Highsmith going down, you're seeing the emergence of Nick Herbig. So there's a lot of names in here. Don't forget the guys that got you there. And Max Crosby, despite the low sack totals, has been just as effective as he has been in the past. So we lobbed a softball to each other in this first one, all right? Who is your linebacker that perfectly encapsulates perfect balance?
Boy, again, this is going to be a gimme. But the reason why I'm going to say it is because I think he's really underrated. I don't know why people don't talk about him as much. He's having an unbelievable year. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh, that could be anybody, brother. Who you got?
Jordan Brooks for the Miami Dolphins. He had 20 total tackles last week. I mean, that's unheard of. I mean, this guy is consistently getting above 10 total tackles, leads the league, I believe, in tackles. And in our league, he's been on the trade block for a long time. And I'm like, why isn't anybody going to get this guy? I mean, this guy has been unbelievable. And he's still relatively young. People forget that. He's still somewhat he's 20 years old. Now, mind you, linebackers can just fall off a cliff. But to me, I think I've been very impressed this season with Brooks.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. I just published an article over at Football Guys today where I went out and I said that I think Jordan Brooks is the greatest of all time in IDP. And I don't think that that's an exaggeration. He had multiple seasons with over 180 plus tackles, and he's well on his way to achieving that again. He is currently the linebacker one, the IDP one, especially even in big play scoring leagues. He has been phenomenal. And it is just like where he left off in that Legion of Boom type of defense. So, yeah, to me, that was a gimme, but I understand completely, especially if you were seeing on your end that he's on the trade block. In one of my leagues today, actually, he got traded, and he went for a 2 and a 4. All right, so in my IDP leagues, we typically have around 7 rounds in a rookie draft. So he got a pretty premium pick in that second round and then kind of a back-end dart throw pick. But like I said, with IDP drafts on top of offensive drafts, when you're drafting all of those rookies, those picks do matter. And I think in the 4th round, you can get a quality defender, especially in leagues that maybe is more offensive skewed towards points. So seeing him go for that, I understand why. I don't get it either, why people aren't talking about him more. He's the best. I love Foye and I love Roquan Smith, but nobody's touching Jordan Brooks right now. I went with somebody who was starting to get on the radar with people, but the reason I feel like it's not as much of a slam dunk as I thought is I'm still getting questions about whether people should start him. And to start the show, we got one. And that's Carson Schweschinger. Carson Schweschinger is a rookie, but he's a rookie that's wearing the green dot, and he's taking over for JOK, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I don't think JOK is going to be back. He has a neck injury, and I don't think you play around with neck injuries. But Schweschinger has been more than what you would have expected a rookie to be in this defense, especially statistically. He's got 85 tackles on the season. He's got a sack and a half. He's got 2 interceptions and 2 defended passes. So not only does he give you that tackle volume, he's well on his way to over 120 tackles, but he has that big play upside, and they're using him in a variety of ways. He's dropping back in pass coverage, and he's showing the ability to defend the pass, but he's also blitzing the quarterback, and he's getting them on the ground. Schweschinger's a rookie, so he's not in the zeitgeist right now. Nobody's really thinking about, okay, he's one of the best, but there is a realistic possibility that he is a current top 5 dynasty linebacker. There are a lot of good linebackers, but there are not a lot of good linebackers in their early 20s, and he is 22 years old and having a fantastic rookie season. Bring us home with defensive back, Steve. Who's the DB that you think encapsulates perfect balance?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go as much as a gimme as I have been going. He hasn't had as good of a year, but I think it's hard to not go with Kyle Hamilton from the Ravens. When you talked about even before in the segment of perfectly balanced, I just thought about a guy who literally can play any defensive position on the field. Now, that isn't necessarily always the best from an IDP perspective, but I think he truly is like I don't know where he would rank in like your dynasty safety tier rankings. You could argue that Branch is right there with him, but to me, like Hamilton could make a case he's just a standalone guy at the top.
Absolutely. I think that we know who he is. The Ravens defense was weird this season, I think, to put it nicely. A lot of injuries, a lot of different usages. They made a trade for Draymond Jones, but it seems like he's disappeared. He was better in Tennessee than he has been with the Ravens. So I don't know why we forget how good Hamilton was. And I think that he is going to continue to remind us that every now and then that position is just volatile. But if you're going to have a volatile position, I want the best player at that position. And I think if you took a random poll of NFL players, he's going to rank highly on that list. So not a bad pick at all. And you're right. He does everything well. He can drop back. He can hit the boom. He can be in the box. He can have those big plays. And that's what I'm talking about. And that's what I need to balance my team with defensive back. I went with something a little bit uglier, all right? Somebody that I don't know if a lot of people are talking about, but I just love the guy. And I haven't talked about him yet, and it's my show, Steve. This is what we're going to do. Kamari Connor, the defensive back, the safety for the Kansas City Chiefs. Coming into the season, I was not a believer. He wasn't on my radar. I didn't draft him in places. I only had one person that I knew that actually rostered him and talked to me about him, and I was like, I don't know. Maybe he's good. Maybe he's not. Well, I'm wrong. 76 total tackles on the season, 2 forced fumbles, and a sack. I love it when I have safeties that can clearly jar the ball loose or create turnovers, whether it's a Minka Fitzpatrick trying to intercept somebody or Talanoa Hufanga as a ball hawk or an Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor type of player laying the boom down. I want defensive backs that get involved in creating turnovers. And we've seen him create 2 so far. He got a sack last week, so he is versatile enough to play in multiple positions. And the Kansas City defense, while it has not been the best this season, is still a scheme that will confuse opposing offenses. And when you have a chess piece like Kamari Connor, I think it's fantastic to have him. He had a 14-tackle week in week 6 against the Lions. He's got a 10-tackle week against the Commanders. He had 8 tackles and a sack last week. He started the season with 10 tackles and a forced fumble. He is getting you week winning potential at a position that is so volatile and so oftentimes can cost you a week. I had Ashton Davis in the league, starting safety for the Jets. He's been a consistent player. Guess what? That week, not Ashton Davis, it was Tony Adams. He didn't play the one week I needed him to play, and I lost by about what his average would have been. So when you've even got guys that you know are producing, and all of a sudden they don't play, the only position that happens to at the clip that it does is defensive back. And I know for a fact that Kamari Connor is going to continue to play, and he has a tasty matchup schedule down the stretch here. Next week against the Colts, who are dead last against the safeties. He's got the Cowboys after that, but then the Texans, who are 27th in the league against safeties. So I went with Kamari Connor. And you know what? I went with you as a guest because I know that you have answers to all the questions. I got 27 people watching here. Guys, throw a comment in here, all right? I'm going to pay some bills. And while I'm paying some bills here, man, throw a comment in here. Lob us a softball. Throw us a curveball. Whatever you need. But just make sure you get something in there. Talk to us. We're going to hear our friends at Fast Draft, though.
I know you're sad draft season is over, but just because the NFL season starts doesn't mean the drafting stops. Because Fast Draft has the Flex 6 Frenzy. You're drafting 6 guys for the Sunday slate. It's fast, it's furious, it's fun. And as with everything on Fast Draft, there are no salaries. Woo! So go to draftfaster.com, get the app, use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
All right, use the promo code DEGEN, D-E-G-E-N, for a $50 deposit match on Fast Draft. Nothing like the Podfather getting us hyped up for this next segment, all right? Waivers. There's a lot of fantasy football podcasts and shows out there, Steve. I'm not sure if you've noticed. Well, guess what? Everybody's favorite segment on every one of those shows is the waiver wire guy. Who's going to win my week? I need 2 players right now. Who's your first player that is a waiver guy for this week that you feel like can help us win a matchup?
Yeah, that's interesting. When it comes to IDP, it's hard to know as far as like roster percentages. Are we talking like real deep sleeper? Are we talking like pretty mainstream guy? I'll go with.
Let's go a deep sleeper if you got one.
Okay.
I love that.
I don't know how deep it is, so we'll put this out there. I'm gonna go with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson of the Bears. For safety. I feel like safety's been a position that's been quite challenging. I feel like I've made several trades to try to find somebody. He was kind of left for dead. I mean, after what happened in Houston, he was bounced around with different practice squads, landed in Chicago. Over the past 3 weeks within Chicago, he's done pretty well. Now, mind you, you probably would have picked him up the week before that against the Giants when he had 2 sacks and 9 total tackles and a forced fumble. But he's still playing a lot of snaps for the Bears right now. So for me, I like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
I also like C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I talked about him a little bit last week, and it was the exact same thing that you said. He's probably not – if he wasn't on your radar now, this is probably going to be the last chance because he has been phenomenal in his playing time. I also went with safety. I went with Ronnie Hickman out of Cleveland. Look, I know they got Grant Delpit, and I like Grant Delpit too, but we have seen Ronnie Hickman play almost every snap for the Cleveland Browns. And I just have this rule in my head that if you are playing almost every snap in IDP, I need to roster you, even if you're a depth piece. But Ronnie Hickman has been a little bit more than a depth piece. He's got 63 total tackles on the season, 2 interceptions, and 3 defended passes. He only has 1 tackle for a loss, so he's not really in the box so much, I don't think. But he does have a consistent tackle floor. And if you need help with bye weeks, he's the perfect kind of guy. They play against the Raiders this week. I don't trust the Raiders offense at all. I think he's got an opportunity to have a big game, maybe somewhere in that 5 to 8 tackle range. But I do think he's also got an opportunity here to get involved in the passing game because I just do not trust the Raiders passing offense. Who's sleeper number 2 you got?
Yeah, so this player's been a little hot or cold, but I really like the matchup. So I'm going to go with DeMarcus Lawrence, edge rusher out of Seattle. Didn't have as good of a week against the Rams, but prior to that, obviously he had those 2 fumble recoveries for a touchdown. But if you look at it, over the past 5 weeks, he's averaged, there's been 5 weeks, about 4 sacks. So he's averaging almost a sack a game. And the Titans, according to at least our scoring, is the best matchup, 32nd. You can't get any better than that. So I like DeMarcus Lawrence, and I think he could be out there.
I like him because you said his name. I actually do not like DeMarcus Lawrence at all, but I'm not here to argue with you, man. I trust you. I trust your analytics. I've been pretty anti-DeMarcus Lawrence, and of course, I finally decided to get rid of him, and then he has the 2 touchdown game. So I don't even know what to say about that. I hope it works out. And I will endorse that move because every time I think that DeMarcus Lawrence is going to do something, he doesn't do it. So I'm going to say DeMarcus Lawrence is going to have a terrible game. You shouldn't start him. So there you
Opposite
go.
Day.
The reverse jinx for you, buddy. I went with a name that is not a deep name, but this season he would be considered a deep stash, and that is Jordan Poyer, the safety for the Buffalo Bills. He is 34 years old. He went to Miami to die, but he did not die. He came back to the Bills. He did not play for the first 5 weeks. He got a little bit of time in week 6, but since the bye week, it seems like he's got more and more involved in what this Bills scheme is. He's familiar with it. He played here for years, and he was a high-level fantasy asset while he was here. So he just came off his best game of the season, 15 total tackles and a defended pass. Do I think he's going to do that every week? No, I do not. But he plays against the Texans this week, another passing offense that I don't quite trust, so there's opportunity for some big plays there. And I'm a tackle volume guy. I'm a consistency guy, and I know what I get from Jordan Poyer. He's been playing in the league since I was in high school, it feels like. So I just think he is, while he would be considered a deep sleeper, when Jordan Poyer starts and plays, he is a productive IDP asset, so he needs to be off your waiver wire and at least on your bench minimally, and that is for the rest of the season as well as this week. Steve, tell my wonderful, fabulous guests where we can find you and what you do. Who are you, Steve? I've never seen you before. You just popped up on this show with some great hair. I need to know where I can get all of my fantasy advice from you.
Well, you can follow me and my great hair over at Steve_FOP. Also, Front Office Pros. We started Front Office Pros, myself and my team here. Back almost. It's crazy. It's over 3 years. It's hard to believe we've been doing it for as long as we have. But this year we've been doing something a little bit different. If you've never done Dynasty salary and contract leagues, we actually been giving you a behind the scenes look into ours, and maybe not as we probably should do more of a vlog style if you'll be more interested in watching. But it's been a lot of fun to be able to talk about our league and kind of the different moves that are happening. We'll have another episode out tomorrow. But if you're ever interested in that format, something we like to talk about, definitely want to check us out.
I'm super excited for this conversation. This is probably one of my favorite personal conversations. I like to end the show with kind of what the guest specialty is and kind of talk and pick your brain about it. My favorite style of fantasy football to play, and the one that I primarily care about, all of my home leagues, are full IDP. Full IDP. I'm not talking defensive line linebacker. I'm talking corners, safeties, linebackers, etc. Contract leagues. Salary cap. We're talking transition tags, franchise tags. I love it. It is the most fun way to play. You are a diehard player of this type of format, okay? I refer to it as real life Madden. You have to make decisions now. Do you have the salary cap to acquire a player that can help you win this year, or are you the Jerry Jones, Mike Browns of the world that just spend a lot of money and don't win, or Mike Brown doesn't spend a lot of money? This season,
not at all.
Look what happens. So I want to pick your brain a little bit, but I want to start with the easy one. Why do you prefer this type of league over a traditional fantasy football league?
I played traditional fantasy for a long time, probably 10, 11, 12 years plus before the time where I was talking to my co-host Joe, and I just kind of was like, I want something new. I want something fresh. That redraft is fun, but it's just like after a while, it kind of feels like the same old thing over and over again. And so what I found with Dynasty Salary and Contract and why I like it so much is it just gets you even closer to the game. You have to think about, whether you want to, keep a player, how much you want to sign them for. When you're thinking about trades and having that contract pressure, it really regulates player movement. In our league right now, which, our Dynasty Salary Cap Contract League has been going on for about 6 years. And no exaggeration, we've probably had over like 300 trades. I mean, the amount of trades in that league have just been absolutely endless. And honestly, a lot of times when I talk to people about their dynasty leagues, a lot of times after 4 or 5 years, they're like, well, do you want to do another startup draft and hit the reset button? After 5, 6 years, people kind of feel like I'm kind of sick of this because the disparity in the league gets too wide. But just like in the NFL, having a free agency, having a cap that you have to manage, you can be at the bottom of the barrel in your team, and in a year or two, you're back up right into the playoff picture. So it's just a whole new level of engagement. But if you haven't tried it out, it's a lot of fun.
What's the learning curve like? Was it hard?
That's interesting. I mean, if you've not been in a league like that before, you may have a hard time deciding, how long should I sign somebody for, what have you. So there may be some aspects where if you're on Dynasty, you're almost on autopilot because it's like, well, I have them forever, so I don't have to think about it. So it's an extra level of detail. But I would say with anything, trial and error as you learn, like, oh, wow, I should not have signed that. Or, for example, I signed Devin White to a crazy expensive long contract a few years ago. And I was like, he's burning a hole in my pocket. I don't know what I was thinking. Thankfully, he's resurrected and now he's back to actually doing something. And so I'm very thankful for that. But after that, I was like, I will never do that again, where I sign a linebacker to this huge amount of money long years, because I just feel linebackers could just fall off a cliff. But that's just my own personal strategy. You'll learn that over time.
I love that, and I agree. The learning curve, it's intimidating at first, but it's mostly intimidating because you just don't understand the rules. And the more you do something, the better you get at it. If you play Madden, it's literally the same thing as Madden. You're just doing it with players. You can watch real-time results. You have no control over the results. All you can do is pay and pray, baby. Pay and pray. That is what a salary cap league is. One more thing. I wonder if you're going to shut this one down or not. Got anything in the works? I know that smart brain of yours is always working behind the scenes on something fancy. I know you got something, but I'm not going to say it. You willing to say anything about it?
Just like any good TV show, when you're binge watching a show and there's a cliffhanger, it makes you want to watch more. So what I will say is I recommend that you check out Front Office Pros.
Hey, couldn't have said it better myself, man. I even wrote on the show sheet for those that care. If you're not comfortable with this question, just give me some BS answer. And let me tell you, that was some good BS, Steve.
Oh, come on now. Any TV show you love a cliffhanger. What do you mean?
Hey, you know what? I appreciate the cliffhanger. Let's hope these 26 viewers come back next week. Steve Falco, everyone. Thank you so much, as always. For those that missed it at the beginning, Steve gave me my first opportunity with a live mic and a live camera. And I'm forever indebted to you for that. You helped me kind of understand what it was. You allowed me to be me, and it really helped me feel comfortable in the space. And I just want to give you a public thank you to that. I don't know if I would have continued to have the confidence if you'd have just thrown me under the bus. So, Steve, thank you for joining the Degens IDP Blitz. As always, everyone, thank you for watching. This is not possible at all. It would be much more boring if there weren't 26 people watching, but I'd talk ball with you any day of the week, Steve. So thank you, everybody. This was the Degens IDP Blitz. We'll be back next week at 7 p.m. Eastern live. Throw some YouTube comments in there. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me Steve's hair is great. Whatever you got to do, engage with it. Love you guys. Thank you very much for everything.